Okay, so for this topic on groups of parasites with medical and public health importance, I'll be providing you with a very brief and overview of the taxonomy of the parasites that we'll be covering for this semester, and also how these parasites are systematically classified. So the references again from for this lecture is from chapter 1 in Belisario, chapter 1 in Zabig, and chapter 1 also in Sastri. So just like all other organisms, here in parasitology we follow the Linnaean hierarchical structural scheme in terms of classification of organisms. So we start with a kingdom, subkingdom, phylum, class, order, family, and genus and species last. So there are three main classes of parasites that can cause disease in humans. We have the protozoas, we have the helminths, and the ectoparasites. Now, parasites can be classified unicellularly and multicellularly according to the model created by Matthews and Nolin. And here in their model, parasites are divided into unicellular parasites. And for unicellular parasites, the representative organisms are the protozoans. Examples of protozoans are your Plasmodium falciparum, which is the causative agent of malaria, and Amoeba histolytica, which is the causative agent of amoebiasis, and Giardia lamblia, which is the causative agent of amoebiasis. Parasites can be multicellular, and it's divided into two. They can be helminths or arthropods. Helminths, they are also known as our metazoans because they are worms, they are multicellular, and they are eukaryotic. Now, helminths are divided into three. They can be nematodes, trematodes, and cestodes. The nematodes, they are characterized of a long, thin, unsegmented tube-like body, while trematodes, they are characterized to have a small, flat, and leaf-like structure, and cestodes, we have a long, flat, ribbon-like structure. Nematode is also known as the roundworms, while trematode and cestodes are our flatworms. So we have two flatworms. And protozoans and helminths, they are endoparasites because they dwell within the human body. They do not live on our surfaces such as our skin. The representative causative agents of nematodes would include the Ascaris lumbricoides, which is the causative agent of ascariasis. For trematodes, we have the schistosoma, causative agent of schistosomiasis. In cestodes, we have the Taenia, the causative agents of our tapeworm. Now, aside from helminths, we have also the arthropods. Now, arthropods, they are classified into a separate phylum. And arthropods, they are generally the most diverse eukaryotic organisms because we have so many types of arthropods. We have insects, we have spiders, we have also some crustaceans. And in arthropods, the representative agent that is given in this example are the ticks, and they comprise of the ectoparasites. The current methods of systematics would include DNA extraction and sequencing, proteome analysis, RNA interference, and polymerase chain reaction. So when we classify organisms, it's not just through their biological characteristics, the one that we see, the morphologic characteristics, but also to the genomic level. Subkingdom Protozoa is divided into three different phyla. The first phyla is the Sarcomastigophora, the second is the phylum Ciliophora, while the third is the phylum Apicomplexa. The phylum Sarcomastigophora is divided into two, the subphylum Sarcodina and the subphylum Mastigophora. Subphylum Sarcodina is further classified to the class Lobosea, which are the amoebas. Examples of the Loboseas are the disease-causing Entamoeba histolytica and the usual amoebic commensal Entamoeba coli. For subphylum Mastigophora, it is further classified into the class Zoomastigophora, which includes the flagellates and hemoflagellates. Examples of flagellates of medical importance is the Giardia lamblia, causing giardiasis. For hemoflagellates, the causative agents of hemoflagellates are the trypanosomes and the leishmanial species. For phylum Coeliophora, it is further classified into class Kinetophragminophorea, which are the ciliates. And the only medically important ciliates known to man is Balantidium coli. Now, phylum Apicomplexa is further classified to class Sporozoans, which here it includes your Cryptosporidium species and your Plasmodium species. Again, the major phyla of protozoa causing disease under subkingdom protozoans are the Sarcomastigophora, Coeliophora, Apicomplexa, and the Microspora. For Sarcodina, which includes your amoeba, we have the following organisms: Acanthamoeba castellani, which is a free-living amoeba; Endolimax naina, Entamoeba coli, Entamoeba dispar, Entamoeba gingivalis, Entamoeba histolytica, Iodamoeba buchlii, and Naegleria fowleri. Now, among these microorganisms that have been flashed, it is Acanthamoeba castellani, Entamoeba histolytica, and Naegleria fowleri are the ones that cause disease in humans. They are the ones that cause disease in humans because they can produce pathogenic factors that can damage our body. The rest of them are commensals. For the Mastigophora, we have the atrial flagellates. Under here are the Chilomastic mesnili, Dientamoeba fragilis, Giardia lamblia, Trichomonas hominis, Trichomonas tenax, and Trichomonas vaginalis. Giardia lamblia, as what I've mentioned, is the causative agent of giardiasis. Trichomonas vaginalis causes the Trichomonas vaginitis infection, which is a very common sexually transmitted disease. For the hemoflagellates, we have Leishmania brasiliensis, Leishmania donovani, Leishmania tropica, Trypanosoma brucei complex, and Trypanosoma cruzi. All of these hemoflagellates are pathogenic to man. Trypanosoma brucei complex is composed of Trypanosoma brucei gambiense and Trypanosoma brucei rhodiense. Trypanosoma cruzi causes Chagas disease. Trypanosoma cruzi is also known as the American trypanosomiasis, while Trypanosoma brucei causes the African trypanosomiasis. Trypanosoma brucei gambiense, it causes the African sleeping sickness, particularly in Western Africa. This is also known as the West African sleeping sickness. While Trypanosoma brucei rhodesiense causes Eastern Africa sleeping sickness. As what I've previously emphasized, Balantidium coli is the only medically important ciliates known to man. For the phylum Apicomplexa, we have the following organisms. We have the Babesia causing babesiosis, Cryptosporidium hominis causes cryptosporidiasis, Cyclospora cayetanensis causes cyclosporiasis, Cytoisospora belli, which causes cytoisosporiasis. For Plasmodium species, we have malaria and Toxoplasma gondii. For Plasmodium species, we have 5 different species. We have Plasmodium falciparum, which is the most severe type of malaria. It is the one that is endemic here in the Philippines. Plasmodium ovale Plasmodium vivax, Plasmodium malariae, and Plasmodium knowlesi. For Toxoplasma gondii, it causes toxoplasmosis. For Microspora, they are quite unusual and uncommon. You have the Enterocytozoon bienniusi, Encephalitozoon species, Vitaforma cornea, Trachyplestophora hominis, Plestophora species, Ancalia vesicularum, and Microsporidium. And Microsporidium is the most popular among the Microspora species. For the subkingdom Metazoans, we have the phylum Nemathelmintes and the phylum Platyhelmintes. The phylum Nemathelmintes, these are the roundworms. It's further classified into class Nematoda and class Filariae. For phylum Platyhelmintes, it's further classified into Cestoda and Trematoda. For Cestoda, they are the tapeworm, and Trematoda, they are the flukes. These are the representative species of the parasites under the nematodes. For the intestinal nematodes, we have Ascaris lumbricoides, Capillaria philippinensis, Enterobis vermicularis, hookworms, Strongyloides stercoralis, and Trichuris trichiuria. Now, Ascaris lumbricoides causes ascariasis, Capillaria philippinensis causes capillariasis, Enterobis vermicularis, this causes the pinworm infection or the seatworm infection, causing enterobiasis as well. Hookworms, we have two species for hookworms. We have Necator americanus and Ancylostoma duodenale. For Strongyloides stercoralis, it causes the strongyloidiasis. They are also known as the threadworms. Trichuris trichuria causes trichuriasis. Other name for Trichuris trichuria is the whipworm. For extraintestinal nematodes, we have the lymphatic filarial parasites, the Wuchereria bancrofti and Brugia malayi. This organism causes filariasis. Parastrongyloides cantonensis and Trichinella spiralis, these are your tissue nematodes. Trichinella spiralis causes the infection trichinellosis, a type of parasitic infection that involves the skeletal muscle. For cestodes, we have the Cyclophilidias. Under this classification, we have the Dipylidium caninum, Echinococcus species, Hymenolepis diminuta, Hymenolepis nana, Rhailietina garrisoni, Taenia saginata, and Taenia solium. For the pseudophilidian cestodes, we have the Phyllobotrium latum and Spirometra. Now, just remember which organism are classified under which type of cestode. So when we go into the specifics on cestodes, we'll be discussing on the differences between the Cyclophilidians and the pseudophilidians. For the trematodes, we have the following organisms. We have the Artifekinostum malayanum, Clonorchis sinensis, Echinostoma elocanum, Fasciola hepatica, Fasciolopsis busci, the heterophytes, Opistorchis filineus, Opistorchis vivirini, Paragonimus westermani, the schistosome species, the Schistosoma hematobium, the Schistosoma japonicum, and Schistosoma mansoni. Under the arachnida, we have the mites, scorpions, spiders, and ticks.